Seriously. Here we go. My accountability list. Let's start off with my number 10. Podcasting. I went hard in podcasting. I did. I counted before this show started, before we started recording today, before I started recording today. And I've hosted at least 9 different podcasts in my lifetime. At least 9. And it's probably over 10. I'm sure I'm forgetting some of them. Aside from the ones that I've hosted, I've appeared on a bunch. And yeah, because it was the first hobby that was relatively affordable, that I felt I was decent enough at, and I loved. And I spent a lot of hours recording podcasts, expressing myself under the guise of being therapeutic, all right, of getting things off my chest. And out of all the shows that I've done, obviously this one is a lot of fun. It's a blast. It's current. It's what I'm doing at this point in time. But the 2-point conversation was my first baby. All right. It was my creation. It was football conversations, real honest conversations between people. And I had a whole team. With me, and we worked hard. I was recording 6 days a week on just this show alone, multiple times a day for the other show, for the sake of the other shows that I did. But this 2-point conversation was my baby. We had a great social media page, stayed active. When I decided to stop, we had over 25,000 people following the page, which was insane, and I never could have fathomed it growing to be what it was. But I hit a wall in 2022 where I was like, what am I doing this for? Like, I can't land a sponsorship. We're doing all of this content. We're working hard, at least what I perceived as hard, but we're not really like breaking through. Like, our numbers aren't, as far as listenership, wasn't like skyrocketing. It wasn't reflective of the work that I had thought we had put in. I blamed a lot of things. I mean, I never point the finger directly at somebody, but I would, a co-host not keeping up with their weight, they're holding up their weight, so to speak. Like, internally, I did that. And I blamed the how many just famous people already had podcasts, so like people weren't going to give my football show a chance if there are actual football players having a podcast. Lack of accountability, okay? What could I have done that made myself different? But the thing that drives me the most nuts looking back is that I did not utilize video at all. I did not utilize a YouTube channel, like, at all. I mean, towards the end a little bit, but I have almost like 900 episodes of audio podcasts for the 2-point conversation. And less than 5% of those audio versions were actual like videos. And people, like, when you're watching stuff, you want to put a face to the voice. And that's something that I did not do. I mean, we had a lot of fun stuff. We did retro fantasy football, which I'm doing now with my friend Andrew on the Nostalgia Funhouse page and our YouTube channel. And like, we did current discussion topics. We did NFL history. We did trivia games, and we did film study. Like, there was a lot of cool stuff that we did, and we just never put it on video because I was nervous about putting my face out there. And I was nervous about putting my friends' faces out there because I know how the internet can be sometimes. And ultimately, that was my decision. It was my choice not to do that. And the 2-point conversation fell short because I feel my lack of hitting every avenue. Okay. That is why, like, this show, which is for years, it's its own separate audio podcast, but like, this is why when I decided to finally start doing this channel back in February is why I chose to do a YouTube only version featuring just myself, putting myself out there, putting my face out there, and hoping for the best. All right, now if this doesn't work out, I feel like I've done just about everything that there is to do. There's definitely a lot of other things that I could do to make this page better, you make this YouTube channel better. There's a lot of different avenues I can hit, and that's also being accountable. But the lack of success is my own. I own that. All right. We're going to talk about some other things too, where like success and lack thereof, I put squarely on my shoulders. But my lessons from that, me taking accountability and growing as a creator of content, is that I need to do more. If I'm working 10 times as hard or 10 times harder than people who are doing better than me, and I'm not better than them, then I'm not working hard enough. It's the truth. That's accountability. That's my number 10 is podcasting and what I have not achieved in this realm. Number 9 is general sports failures. And I'm going to specify one sport a little bit later on in the list, a little bit down the road, but I'm going to specify this. Like I've done a lot of sports in my life. I've done baseball, basketball, football, basketball, football, ran cross country, threw track and field, played volleyball. I don't know why I'm trying to count my fingers here, but I'm just getting all confused. But I played a lot of sports in my day, and I failed at a lot of sports in my day. I think the one that I regret failing at the most is football. It's football. I didn't love football when I was playing football. When I was little, playing the I don't even know if it was Pop Warner, but the youth programs, it wasn't really a choice. My dad was very athletic when he was younger. He grew up with athletic siblings and wanted to put me in it. And I just didn't like the environment. It was weird. And then my third year of youth football, I was too heavy, which is weird. I feel like weight requirements, like weight limits in football, youth football, is just silly. Kids are growing at exponential rates, but it's beside the point. In high school, I played volleyball in my 8th and 9th grade year, and after my 9th grade year, everybody was trying to convince me that I should go and play football. And I didn't really want to, looking back. I was happy playing volleyball. I was decent at it, and the volleyball team was not good. So playing it would have led me to stand out a little bit. But so I have family members, I have teachers, other coaches trying to convince me to play football for my high school team. So in 10th grade, I gave it a shot and hated it. Absolutely hated it. I hated the culture of the team. I hated, like a lot of the kids I played with. But and I wasn't successful. I never got playing time. I got playing time on special teams when we got scored on, and we got scored on quite a bit. It was not a good football team. JV 10th grade year. And the truth is, the fact of the matter is that I went into playing high school football for all of the wrong reasons. Not because I wanted to, even though I made the choice to do so, but I was, I had all these people in my ear, all right, with their claws in me, pointing me in this direction to go play football. So I went and played it for all of the wrong reasons, and I blamed everybody but myself. I blamed the coaches, and I blamed other players, and just everything. Like I played the blame, and there's so many stupid terms that I used, but like I just wasn't good. I wasn't good. I wasn't dedicated. I didn't love it. I didn't love playing it the way that I had to. I should have loved it if I really wanted to do good at it. I just went into it for all the wrong reasons, and I realize that now. Years later, I realize that now, and now loving football as much as I do, loving watching football and playing football as much as I do. When I get asked to do it, I regret that. There's a bit of regret on that part. So it's a twofold thing, but I take ownership of that. I was not good at playing football in high school because I chose to not be good at playing football. It's the truth. Nobody held me down but me. All right? Nobody held me down but me. And I own that. So that's my number 9, is sports failures, but specifically football. Number 8, I'm going to go with college. I tried college twice. The first time, terrible, terrible mentality. All right, I skated through high school. I didn't study. I just kind of went, did my homework, barely passed my classes, and got to move on. And that's not good, right? That's not a good way to carry yourself with education. College, my first attempt in college, I tried that. I tried to do that, and now I'm paying back student. We're going to talk about student loans in a little bit, but I'm paying back student loans for a degree I never earned. All right, I did not do the work. I thought I could skate by in college like I did in high school, and it blew up in my face. I went for physical education at Niagara County Community College and Monroe Community College. And while I was a little bit better in Monroe because I learned from my failures at Niagara, ultimately I did not achieve a degree because my lack of effort. I was distracted. I was trying to have a social life, finally. All right, I trying to have a legit social life while I was in college, and it was just too much. It was too much, and I couldn't handle it, and I regret it because, say what you will about college, but it's a pretty cool accomplishment if you get a degree. It's pretty cool, and one of those things that I regret, but I own that I didn't pay attention. I skipped classes, all right, and part of it was at the time I really wasn't paying for it. I was getting financial aid. Now I'm paying for it, but I screwed up in college. And then my second attempt, I went in with the right intentions. I started off really good. Like my first semester, I believe I was in the 3s. All right, which is I'm pretty sure I was in the 3s. I was doing good, and then slowly started to decline. I went to Rochester to school it was just too distracted. I was trying to be a pro wrestler, so that took up a lot of my time, weeknights and weekends. I had to work. I had an apartment. I had to pay for things, pay for food, pay for rent, working part-time at Dick's Sporting Goods. And I had a relationship. I was in a relationship. So I got 3 extra things there while I'm trying to go to school and be successful. And it's just, it was overwhelming for 20, 21-year-old me. And I couldn't handle it. And I own that. So college is my number 8. Number 7, social issues. My personal social issues. Yeah, I've had a lot of friends. We're going to talk about friendships and such in a little bit too. But my overall just social status, I would certainly say. I always used to complain about how I didn't get invited to things. And then I'd get invited to things and I wouldn't go. And there was other things too. I've talked about my social media usage, my social media past, just talking just to talk, saying things for notification's sake, to make me feel good, to validate me. And it was bad. It was bad. I noticed things like just how hard it was to go through life and see people unfriending you left and right because of just how you talked and carried yourself. And I've grown now. Now I've grown to not really care about this stuff, but also I've grown to not need that validation, but I've also grown to, if I'm using social media, which I really don't, just Instagram and TikTok for the sake of this channel, but I'm smarter about it. I've grown a lot from it, from those experiences. I know when to shut up. I hold stuff, well, for the most part. I know I rant a lot on these episodes, but I know when to not talk out of turn, and I know that things shouldn't be said. And while my circle is certainly a lot smaller, it's better. It's better. I used to yearn for a big circle, big social circle, because I thought all the cool kids in high school and college and life did that. But yeah, I incriminated myself a lot. I did a lot of harm to my image through social media, and I own that. I own that. When I was on Facebook, and it's been almost a year since I've really been off of it, but I used to look through my Facebook memories, and oh my God, I wanted to punch myself in the kidney every time I looked through some of my old posts. I go, I can't believe I said that. No wonder why people don't like me. No wonder why people don't ask to hang out with me. It's because of how I presented myself, and social media was everything to me. Social media was social status to me, and I failed because of that. So social issues, social media issues, a social life. That's my number 7. Number 6, if you are relatively new to the YouTube channel, maybe you don't realize, or I've talked about it before, but I used to do professional wrestling on the independent level, and it was a lot of fun. But for the couple years that I did it, there was a lot of ups and downs. I got in a lot of trouble, and for things said, things done, actions taken, and I own that. I own that. Pro wrestling, I have 2 accountable issues with it. One, I never knew how to stand up for myself. In fact, only within the last couple years have I, on a personal level, learned to stand up for myself. But I trained at a place that didn't want you to go outside of the bubble, really, and grow. And maybe, I'm going to admit, I really wasn't that good, okay? I really wasn't that good in hindsight. But, I didn't grow. I let this individual, scare me, intimidate me, into not going to be the best version of myself at these other places. Because that's the point. At the independent level, you don't want to be a once a month or once every month and a half hero. You want to go out and travel and get experience working with other professional wrestlers, and that's how you get better. That's how you create a name for yourself. You create a buzz for yourself by traveling and going around. And I let myself be intimidated into being a ticket seller for my spot in Rochester. And there was a couple other places that I'd venture to, but I let that happen. I let my ego get the best of me. I was way too big-headed. It was just a lot. I took it. A lot happened. This is why I picked Anakin Skywalker as a relatable character, because so many people filled my head with bullshit when I was early on, when I was doing good, and then all of a sudden, my head grew, my ego grew, and then they all hated me for it, and I felt betrayed, and it sucked. And then there was also the element of people talking me out of it, which I hate too. It was probably the time for me to do it, but for me to exit wrestling, but I let people talk me out of doing it. And I did at the time. I loved it. And then I become just so worn down from interventions and complaining that I gave it up. And that is why I was not successful in pro wrestling. All right, there's a ton of reasons why. That's just me scratching the surface. But, I'm glad I'm not in it. I think I'd do better now if I got back into it. But it's not going to happen. There's not a chance in hell I'm going back around pro wrestling. Not a chance. But I own it. I own why I was not successful. I wish I could have been. Would have been cool as my dream as a child, at least so I thought, to be a pro wrestler. And I went the safe route. I let people guide me in the safe route, and my pro wrestling is in the past, firmly in the past. So that is my number 6. Number 5, I'm going to go with the other sport, which is my high school wrestling career. And there's a positive accountability where, yes, I am proud of how far I went. I finished 6th in New York State my senior year in 2009. I was a Section 6 wrestling champion in 2009. I never won anything in life, right? I never won anything. Like contests and all this stuff, like sports. I like for the most every other sport that I tried, I was garbage at. But wrestling, I found success at because I loved it. I was inspired by Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar. These guys who made it to the highest point in their sport and in pro wrestling, and they were successful high school and college athletes. And like it became my whole personality. And I did work hard at it. Like I did go to off-season tournaments and like in hindsight, yes, it is cool that I finished 6th in New York State, but I know that I could have done so much more. I know that I could have put myself out there a little bit, sacrificed a little bit more to be better. Like I remember going into tournaments and just being okay with taking 4th place. Even at the state championship meet, like I was worried about seeding, and I was like, oh, if I literally went into it, and I'm not going to win states. My match with Angelo that I talked about on my life lessons list, teachable moments. I forgot what I did, how I phrased it, but like I went into that not very confident, and I regret that to this day. Like that's eaten me alive later in life because it's so far away. I mean, I should just be able to accept it and move on, but man, like how good I was, and if I had better mental fortitude, how much better I could have been. I could have did it in college, and who knows? Like, who knows? So that's why when people are like, "Wow, you took 6th place," or "How were you in high school wrestling?" I was garbage. I do say that. That's my usual go-to. I was trash. I always say that when reflecting on my high school wrestling career, even though deep down, like I did pretty good. I came a long way from where I started, but I own that I could have been so much more. And I hope that if my son decides to do wrestling someday, he is a much better wrestler than I ever was. And I'm going to use my life lessons, experiences, and failures to hopefully guide him to be better than me. But he has to choose that route. So high school wrestling is my number 5. Number 4, I'm going to go with my weight issues. I've had recording issues doing this episode, and I'm kind of glad it waited to this point. But all my life, I've had weight issues. All my life, I've been overweight, and like I'll lose a bunch of weight, hold it off for a couple months, and skyrocket back up. And I can't use the "I'm just big boned" excuse. Or when I look at stuff, I get fat. People love that excuse too. And I look at something, I gain 5 pounds. And the fact of the matter is, I'm the one who is shoving food down my gullet. All right, I'm the one putting the food in my mouth and having no accountability for how much that I'm eating. And it sucks. Like it sucks. It's a struggle that I've always had. I always will have. It is going to be a never-ending fight, but I own that and I take accountability for that. Last week actually, because the episode drops this Monday, I'm recording this Saturday night, but last weekend we went to Canal Fest in North Tonawanda, New York, and I ate a lot of bad food, and then later that night I overate a little bit too, and I woke up super sick the next day, super sick. Like I tried to go to work. I ended up leaving to go home because I just could not handle how sick I was. I lost the day. I mean, I got sick pay, but I lost a couple hours overtime, and I felt terrible. But it was a much-needed reset. It put things in focus, and I've had a really good week eating-wise where I've not gone over a certain calorie allotment. Well, I had a wedding on Friday, so that was like the one day, but every other day was like great. Drinking water again. And just eating much, much better. And I haven't had the issue in like a week, and I felt pretty good for it. But accountability. I own that my weight issues are my own problem. I know I can get down. I know I can lose the weight, but I'm not starting the process, or if I get down, I'm failing at maintaining. I know I can do so much better. I own that. And I know I'm not the only person who owns that either. So weight issues comes in at number 4. Number 3 is failed friendships. I've had a lot of those, and I've talked about a lot of those on here. Not specifically, not with names, but I've had a lot of friendships that have failed. And everybody goes through that too. All right, everybody goes through that too. Part of accountability is yes, of course, realizing what you have done, but also there's the part of realizing the stuff that you didn't do, like the stuff that's not your fault. Because if you start blaming everything on yourself, you are going to have overthinking issues, which is something that I've dealt with, and so on and so forth. But you have to properly be accountable for your part in things not going right. And friendships is something that I've had a lot of major ones fall out with. And it was just normal for me because like it just, my ego, like I deal with people and I feel like I have some level of ownership of their time. And it's just like, it's this weird controlling thing that I've had to fight to get to move away from, but it's a part of my personality because it's hardwired into me. And that's been a struggle is, you know, when you start to feel somebody drifting away from you and you just kind of either you just push her, you question and you make it easier for that person to push away from you. I've done a lot of stupid crap as far as dealing with friends, but I know I'm not, the only guilty party, but I own the things that I've said, the things that I've done. I've lost a lot of great friends over the years. People that I love to be hanging out with still to this day. I have less than a handful. I mean, it's probably appropriate, but I have like a few like really, really good friends. But, I've lost so many along the way. It sucks. It's hard to look back and see how my emotional issues and things that I've said have ruined friendships. And I have a friendship right now that like it feels like it's teetering or it's very close to teetering, and I'm scared and I'm like, I don't know, what do I do? But through the years, like my experiences, like I just match energy with people, or at least I think I tried to. People are good to me, I'm good to them. People start to push away, I let them go. I don't like to pursue, and it's just something I'm dealing with. I'm always going to deal with. If you have a social life, this is just something that happens. So, number 3, failed friendships. I'm trying to do better. And if something's not going the way that I hope it is, just let it go. Be at peace with it. Be at peace with it. All good things come to an end and people grow apart. It's just a natural part of life. Number 2 is romantic relationships. Ones that I sought out, ones that I had and they did not work out. I once had a girlfriend for 2 days. And obviously something was off with me. I don't think I've ever really broken up. I've always been the one broken up with, but I don't know, like high school, I used to whine and cry all the time how I couldn't get a girlfriend. I did my early social media troubles. What girl is going to want to date a guy who's whining about not having a girlfriend all the time? I wouldn't. It's actually quite hilarious. A lot of the things that I used to hate the way people treated me for when it came to relationships, I ended up doing to other people down the road. But even like my previous relationship, and like I recognize that I pushed this individual to do what they did. There were certain things that I could have changed, certain behaviors that I could have been better with or better at that could have led to this relationship. Maybe still existing today. I'm happy with the way my life has gone, but there's also like I have to own that. Like I have to own that. I played the guilty, woe was me game for years, but also I'm just as much part of it as they were. And I own that. I own that. And like my own marriage. Like now, I love my wife. I do. It's not perfect. I don't think any marriage really truly is. I own my part of it. But I also am not over accountable where I'm blaming everything on myself either. I used to, but if it really isn't my fault, then it's in one ear out the other. If I truly believe it's not my fault, but I do own my part in any issues that we do have. So romantic relationships, that's my number 2. And number 1 is my financial issues. I've had a lot of them. I had a really bad one in 2022. I talked about it a few times on this show, but for those who've just, you've never heard the story before, those who need a refresher. Summer 2022, because I was still using my parents' address at the time for certain programs, but my parents had a notice put on their door about a court summons because of missed payments on a Capital One credit card. Why did I say it like that? A Capital One credit card. I thought just by stopping making payments, because I really couldn't afford them much, that the problem was just going to go away. And boy, was that not accurate at all. I ended up resolving this, calling the company who was in charge of getting this payment plan going underway. And I handled it. I handled business. It was the best growing opportunity for me financially because I never wanted to feel that embarrassment again. I never wanted to have the pressure of getting blown up by bill collectors and collections agencies. I guess it's the same thing, but I never wanted to have that feeling again. I was tired of hanging up my phone on these unknown phone numbers. Tired of it. I started working more overtime, and I paid off a $4,700 debt. I think that's how much it was in like 4 weeks' time. Maybe 5 weeks at the most. But I was just 12-hour days. Like, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to handle it, and I'm going to move on and grow. And it led to me being a lot more conscious about my financial decisions. I don't really buy a lot of stuff for myself now. Like, material possessions don't do anything for me. I don't buy stuff. I don't buy toys or decorations. I really don't buy like video games or anything like that. My bills are my priority, and it seems kind of like a drag. Like, it seems kind of crappy, but it is what it is. I pay my stuff. I don't have bill collectors hounding me, and now that I'm working a little bit more overtime again, I spend it wisely. I spend it on experiences and not stuff that's going to sit around and take up space in an apartment that does not have the room for it. I've grown in that regard. So, like, college loans, like, it's easy to blame the loaners, right? The people who are handing out financial aid, but I signed it. Doesn't matter if I was 18 years old or if I was 31, 32. All right. Well, the second time I signed it, I was like 20, 21. All right. I signed it and I own it. I'm still paying back student loans for a degree I never had. I think I've said that already, but I own it. I made the mistake, and boy, oh boy, is it going to feel great when I finally do pay it off, when I don't have to pay that debt off anymore. Opening credit cards, all right, paying that debt off, getting them off my back. I signed up for this stuff. I agreed to their terms, and I failed to live up to the terms of that Capital One account. I paid the price for it, but through accountability, I became a much better person, much wiser about my money, more conscious about how I spend it and how I earn it, and putting savings away, looking ahead, and not having irrational spending sprees, no shopping sprees, none of that. And again, I'm a much better person financially for that. So there it is, everybody. The things that I hold myself most accountable for.